my name is Athena Leskovich, and today I'm going to be talking about different concerts and live music venues that I have been to, and just like giving my overall experience that I had at them. I love live music. It's definitely one of my favorite things of all time. And with COVID, there weren't concerts for a while, but concerts have finally made a comeback, and I'm very excited about it. I'm going to a couple more later this year, but I haven't been to them yet, obviously, so I won't be able to talk about them. I'll be attending Playboi Carti's Narcissus Tour in December, as well as Jingle Ball at State Farm Arena in Atlanta. In January, I will be seeing Still Woozy at the Eastern in Atlanta, and then I will be going to Tyler, the Creator in March, which I'm very excited about. But for now, I'm going to talk about some of the concerts that I have been to and just talking about my overall experience, what I did and didn't like about them, because I am such a big concert junkie, and if you know me, you know music and live music are one of my all-time favorite things. So I had been to a lot of Christian concerts and smaller things when I was younger, but as I got older, I started to develop my own sense of music and what styles and tastes of music I like, which artists were my favorite, and my style of music really developed as I got older. I started branching out. I think the only genre of music I really don't like is country, but that's just my personal opinion. I've never been a big country fan, but when I was in the 5th grade, I got to go to a Rachel Platten concert for my birthday. Rachel Platten was really big in, I want to say, around 2015, 2016 was when I was in 5th grade. And her hit song, Fight Song, was really big. It was played on the radio and at every store ever. She has since come out with some music since her original EP. I'm not a big fan of her anymore. I really did like her music, but I don't know, some of her new stuff is good. She kind of lost her relevance a little bit, if we're being completely honest, but I still will stumble upon her music here and now. I remember the tickets were super cheap, and we were actually pretty close to her. It was just a general admission, so you just walked in. It was a floor with a stage, which I've been to multiple venues that were like that, and I honestly really appreciate these because I feel like they're more intimate, and you get such a better experience, if we're being like completely honest, because you're so like up close and really with the artist. So it gives you this sense that you're really getting to experience the show that they're putting on. I remember she was a pretty good performer. She played a lot. She came out on time. It was really great, in all honesty. I did enjoy it. I just don't remember a ton of details because it was so long ago. So that's when I really started to develop, and I was like, wow, like I really like concerts and music. So Taylor Swift dropped her Reputation album when I was in the 7th grade, which was crazy to think, but it was 4 years ago now. And I got to attend her Reputation tour, which was at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The stadium was generally new, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was so big. And I think the really interesting thing that Taylor did, because we did get floor tickets, don't know how we ended up snagging those, but I was so excited. So there were different floor seating areas, was like A, B, C, D, E, F, you get the gist. So she had 3 stages on the floor though, which was super cool. Ended up touching her hand, which was definitely one of the greatest moments of my life. I mean, Taylor Swift knows how to put on a production. She has been one of my favorite artists since I have known music, and I genuinely just believe she has such a good stage presence, and she just knows what she is doing. I mean, honestly, it was one of the most show-stopping, amazing performances. The audios were great. She came out on time. She had Camila Cabello and Charlie XCX open for her, which I thought it was really fun to have 2 different singers open for you, just because it gives them a chance to really grow their audience as well, because Taylor Swift has such a good audience. I remember Camilla and Charlie being great, but nothing can really compare to Taylor. I mean, she had costume changes and all of these extravagant stunts and things that she did. And it was genuinely just a beautiful tour, and she had good visuals, and it will probably hands down forever be one of my favorite tours that I have ever been to. So then a couple years go by, and my freshman year of high school, I got to attend 3 different music events, which was very exciting for me. The first one I went to was my first ever Music Midtown. And if you don't know what Music Midtown is, it is a big music festival in Piedmont Park in Atlanta. And I love Music Midtown because you could see so many different artists, but it was very overwhelming the first year I went. I didn't really know what to expect, and it was crazy. There were so many people there, but among the people that I got to see that year were Madison Beer, Cardi B, Billie Eilish, which was huge for me. I was such a big fan of her, Lizzo. I'm trying to think of who else. Oh, Quinn 92, I got to see him, and that, being able to see him perform actually is what pushed me into really getting into his music, because when I got home, I was like, wow, I really enjoyed that artist. And I liked Music Midtown because it really opens you up to new artists, because there's so many people performing, and you just want to take in as much as you can. Obviously, it being outside and in September in Georgia, it was so hot. Like, genuinely was dying of heat about the entire time, and everything there was so overpriced. I mean, even water was so expensive. So that was a downside, but they did let you bring in one of your own water bottles as long as it was sealed, and they had water fountains you could fill it up at. But the whole thing, I think my first year was just very overwhelming because I felt very underprepared. So I would just definitely do some research before you go to a music festival, because I didn't really know what to expect. And when I got there, I just felt so overwhelmed by the vast amount of people that were there. But I did have a good experience. I loved being able to see so many different people perform. I just feel like you really get your money's worth, because concert tickets are notoriously expensive. And Music Midtown, if you buy them early enough, they aren't too bad. And it was a really good experience for me, in all honesty. Besides it being a little overwhelming, I just wish I had done a little bit more research and planned my outfits out a little better, because it does get so hot and you just get very uncomfortable. But overall, my first Music Midtown was a pretty good experience. Later that year, I went to a Julia Michaels concert, and let me just tell you, she was absolutely amazing. It was at a smaller venue in Atlanta. I can't remember the exact place that she performed, because I've been to so many in Atlanta at this point. But she did such a good job, and I felt like she was so intimate with her fans, and she really just, you could tell she wanted to be doing this. Julia Michaels first got really popular when her song Issues released. I believe that was a couple years ago. I'm not exactly sure, maybe 2019. And I just really latched on her music. I think she played every single song that she has produced, which was really great, because I feel like a lot of times artists will skip over songs that people like. And I like that she went back and played some of her older songs, and that was a good experience for me. And she actually ended up coming off the stage and like stood right in front of us, and it was just such a good group of people that were around us. She had a really good group of fans. I really appreciated it. I met so many friends there that I still follow on social media and keep up with to this day. And I just think when you have a good atmosphere, it makes you enjoy the concert so much more, because sometimes if the atmosphere is more negative and there's just a lot of pushing and shoving, and like it gets very overwhelming very fast, which were some of the issues I faced at my first year of Music Midtown. So I just loved the group of people that were there. She has such a good fan base, and it was genuinely an enjoyable concert. It didn't go on too late. She came out when she was supposed to. I can't exactly remember who opened for her, because I'd never heard of him actually before. But whoever he was really good. She was so lively on stage, and just you could tell that she loves her job, she loves music, she loves singing. And I think that's so important and often really forgotten about among artists, that you really have to show your fans that you enjoy what you're doing, because sometimes I think a lot of musicians, once they gain the fame, they kind of lose sight of that, and she clearly just hasn't. And then my last concert that I went to my freshman year of high school was Olivia O'Brien. She originally got really big with her hit song, I Hate You, I Love You, featuring Nash. And I have been a fan of hers since 2016. Like, she is one of my all-time favorite singers. I actually got to get her meet and greet tickets, which were so fun. I got to meet her before the show. We got a little bag of merchandise, so cute. I think everything was definitely very well priced. And she had the band Hey Violet open for her, and they were so cute, so awesome. Ended up getting their drumstick. And I had heard a couple of Hey Violet songs, but it really just opened me up to more of their music, which I really appreciated. It was at the Terminal West station in Atlanta, which I had never been to or even heard of, but it was a really actually pretty venue. Really good for the group that it was there. Olivia, again, has such a beautiful fan base. It was definitely all girls. There were a lot of girls there. I maybe saw a couple guys, but again, met some really cute friends there. And I had such a good experience. I mean, everyone was jumping and laughing, and Olivia, again, she played a lot of songs. She played on the piano. She was really engaging with her fans. I loved her visuals. She had hands down some of the coolest visuals I've ever seen, and they had such a fun way to like interact with her. Like, you could go write in this journal like a note that she wanted to write to her by the merch stand, and they would like give it to her after tour. And they let us give stuff to her at the meet and greet. It was just so fun. Like, if you wanted her to sign anything or like take a picture with you. She was so much taller in person than I was expecting her to be, which was kind of crazy because I'm 5'7", 5'8"-ish myself, and she was towering over me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was so overwhelmed and like in shock when I was meeting her, because I was like, I've been listening to your music for so long, that it was kind of like surreal to be standing there in the same room, like being next to her. I got the cutest pictures with her. But I really enjoyed that venue. I enjoyed the concert. I enjoyed the music. And she came out on time. I think it's a very big deal when artists come out when they say they're coming out, because you can get so overwhelmed so fast when the artists don't come out when they're supposed to, and everyone gets very like on edge and just annoyed, and it gets very frustrating. And concerts, inside or outside, they are going to get very hot because there's so many people crammed into one room. But right after Olivia performed, that was her last performance for that tour, because COVID ended up hitting literally, I believe, 4 days after that concert. And we had our first cases, and the world kind of shut down a little bit. And it was so sad for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't get to see any concerts. So I went to no live music my sophomore year of high school, which really sucked. But, you know, the good thing was that I actually ended up getting to go to Jingle Wall in December. So I really packed it out my freshman year with Olivia, Julia, Museum of Town, and Jingle Ball. I totally forgot to talk about Jingle Ball, but that's at State Farm Arena. I went to the 2019 one. It was really good. I believe they had like the Jonas Brothers, Khalid, Zara Larsson, Niall Horn. It was a good group. It was definitely an odd group, though. I didn't really feel like the genres matched that well, which I know they're not necessarily supposed to, but the artist didn't really perform for that long. And I felt like when you're paying the money you're paying to go to Jingle Ball, like, the artist should perform a little bit longer. But I did appreciate it because they really only played like their top songs, because it is, it's not a music festival, but there's a lot of artists performing, so they don't get the whole, 2.5 hours on stage or however long they would normally perform if it was their own tour. So it's nice sometimes when they do just play their top hits. But when you're at when you're at a tour and a concert and it's just a singular artist, you really want them to play a lot of their music, not just their top songs, because there are some diehard fans out there, and that's how I felt with like Olivia and Julia when they played like every single song ever that they've ever released, and I was like, oh my gosh, when they got to play those old songs, I was like in love. But I didn't know some of the artists super well at Jingle Ball, same with Music Midtown, so it was very appreciative, I think, at music festivals when artists just play their more well-known songs, because then you don't feel as out of place and stuff. And I totally forgot about Jingle Ball. I don't even know how that slipped my mind, but that was such a fun little gig. Good group. I mean, I liked having seats and stuff. It was nice to have somewhere to sit because so many of my concerts are standing. And then obviously, as I said, COVID hit, blah, 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 blah. Y'all all know about COVID. I don't even need to go into all of that. But my junior year rolled around, and I'm still in my junior year now, and live music came back, and I think I cried tears of joy, and just started buying as many concert tickets as I could buy. So I went to Music Midtown again because obviously it was canceled and there was no 2020 Music Midtown, there was no 2020 Jingle Ball or anything. So I did get to attend Music Midtown this year. It was definitely, I could tell, less people than my first year in 2019. And I definitely believe this is because of COVID. A lot of people were worried about it, but I think the atmosphere was pretty good. Among the performers that I saw at Music Midtown this year, there was Megan Thee Stallion, 21 Savage, Machine Gun Kelly, who else? I'm trying to think. Oh, Maroon 5, Miley Cyrus. I mean, they had such a good lineup. Some people didn't like it, but I honestly really loved it. I saw more artists than that. They're just slipping my mind at the moment. My Music Midtown experience was very mixed this year. I think the crowd has definitely gotten rowdier as the years go on with Music Midtown. I've faced a couple issues with that concert. A lot of the artists did not come out when they were supposed to come out, which was rather frustrating. Only a couple of them really came out, and it's like when you're at a music festival that large and there's so many artists, I mean, it is just bam, bam, bam. Like, you're trying to get to as many concerts as you can, and when the artists don't come out when they're supposed to, it gets really frustrating because it can throw you off track. Megan Thee Stallion took forever to come out, and we had already waited 2 hours to try to be close to the stage for her, so it just got even more frustrating when she literally comes out 30-45 minutes late. It was very frustrating because we had other concerts that we wanted to go to. There was Jack Harlow next, Miley Cyrus, so we were kind of overwhelmed with that because we were like, oh my gosh, this is really frustrating. And that's one thing I didn't appreciate. Not all the performers did this, of course, but it was frustrating that this did happen quite a bit this year. I really enjoyed 21 Savage's performance. I believe he brought out Lil Baby. I'm not exactly sure, but I believe it was Lil Baby. There was some questioning among the crowd because we couldn't really hear what he was saying besides like his singing, but like when he would talk, it was harder to understand what he was saying because we were kind of further back, because there were a lot of people for 21 Savage. Obviously, he is like one of the reasons I bought my tickets, but obviously the audio and stuff was totally fine because I remember my first year of Music in Town, there were really bad audio issues. Billie Eilish, I mean, you could not hear her speakers unless you were closer up, because there were thousands of people there for her. But so that was frustrating, but there were no audio issues this year. It was just more the artists were coming out late, which I didn't feel like I experienced a lot my first year of Music Midtown. And my phone did end up getting stolen, which was so tragic, literally ripped out of my pocket. And I met some other people that had also gotten their phones stolen. So it was rather frustrating. I feel like the crowd has just gotten rowdier, rougher. And that makes me really sad because I do love Music Midtown, like, so much. And I just wish there was a little bit more control. And especially with all the stuff that just came out with Astro World Fest, I mean, I think we just need to have better control. But the staff was really great there. I went to First Aid. I got help from them because I'd been separated from my friends, and they helped me get that back to them. So the staff was great. I just feel like we need to be monitoring a little better about who's going to concerts because it is so many people. But besides the issues that I faced with getting my phone stolen, I really did have a good overall time at Music Midtown 2021. the crowd again, it was just rough, and I think that's going to be something you face at any music festival. But I did enjoy. I had a really great time despite the incidents that happened. Hopefully we'll be attending 2022 Music Midtown, next September. It'll be my last year probably going because I'll be a senior in high school, and I just don't know if I'll attend when I'm in college, possibly, but we shall see. And then I went to a St. John concert at the Eastern in Atlanta. The Eastern is a new venue. It is so nice. I absolutely loved it. There weren't a ton of people there, and I honestly thought there were going to be more than there were, but we were literally front row, like on the gate of the floor, because they did have a upper level that you could go stand on, but obviously we wanted to be up close. St. John, I'm relatively newer to his music. I discovered him this summer, and his songs 94 Bentley and Trap are so good. His song Roses is what originally kind of put him in the spotlight. It's different than your typical rap music. He had a good stage performance for sure, but I felt like it could have been better. I can't remember the name of the person that opened for him, but whoever opened for him had such a great stage presence, and it was really he really got the crowd like amped up, which I thought was really great. And he just overall, his stage presence, whoever opened for him, I think his name was like Tyler or something. I really can't remember. I'd never heard of him before that, but he was pretty good. It was so frustrating though because St. John came out, I think, an hour and a half after he was supposed to come out. It might have not been that long. I'm not exactly sure, but that was probably the only really frustrating part. And it was so hot in the venue, and I didn't want to lose my front row spot, so I couldn't really leave to go get water. And the security guards didn't have any, which was frustrating because they did have a lot of water at Music Midtown, which makes more sense though because it was an outdoor event and this was indoors. But it was sweltering hot in there. I think it was just so many people all crammed together, even though I didn't feel like there were a ton of people really slammed in there. So that was interesting. He did not perform all of the songs that I would have expected him to perform. He kind of just did a random set of songs. He did Roses a couple times, which I thought was odd if we're being honest. I just typically don't want to hear the same song performed multiple times. He did space it out at least, but I don't know. I did enjoy the concert, but I can definitely say it was not one of my favorites that I've ever been to. But the tickets were super cheap. So I did have, overall, it was a good experience, but not the best concert I've ever been to. I've never really had a terrible, horrible concert experience. There have just been some concerts that I felt like the production of them was so much better, and some where I felt like it could have been better. And St. John was one of those. I felt like it could have been better, and it disappointed me a little bit, but I did enjoy the music. I met great people there. So I love when there's just nice people around. You make friends. Concert friends are like the best. But I definitely, just reflecting on all of the concerts that I've been to so far, my favorite have definitely been, I'm gonna say, probably 2019 Music Midtown. I just had such a good experience, even though I was so underprepared for it. It was a good experience. I genuinely enjoyed it. The crowd wasn't as rough, even though there's so many people there. I enjoyed Music Midtown this year as well. I just felt like there were definitely some issues that they were having. I felt like everything got a lot pricier. So that was really frustrating. And then, let's see, I have to go with, for number 2 spot for top concerts ever, I am definitely going to go with Olivia O'Brien and the Hey Violet band that opened for her. They both were amazing. I really want to put Olivia and Julia Michaels together though, like for number 2, because both of them had such a beautiful stage presence and both of them performed so well. So I'm gonna we'll change that and say there was like a tie for those two. And then coming in at number 1 was Taylor Swift. I mean, the woman knows how to perform just as well as she knows how to sing. And I truly have not been to a more well put together concert since the Taylor Swift Reputation tour. But, we still do have, I still have 4 more concerts coming up. And I'm really hoping for good things to come out of those as well. Especially Tyler, the Creator. I splurged and got VIP tickets. So we'll see how VIP they really are, because I know it is a very large venue. And when I got the VIP meet and greet tickets for Olivia O'Brien, it was a super small venue. So I'm very interested to see how all of that works out. But thank you for tuning in and listening to me chat about music and concerts for a little bit. Thank you.